Okay, about MK Ultra and brainwashing. Generally, what I want to tell you is nobody talking to you about MK Ultra knows anything about MK Ultra. Like, people that know about the CIA's top secret brainwashing program aren't out there talking about it, and the people who are generally are conspiracy theorists. That being said, because I am Danielle, a scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership, and I know the history of brainwashing the science as the government used it, I can tell you that yes, it's the same. And this is because all cults are the same, all brainwashing is the same. If you want to break somebody mentally and control them with negative brain science, you have to study the people that already know how to do it. And that's what happened in the US. So in the late 60s, we got our prisoners of war back from Korea who had been mind controlled, brainwashed, reprogrammed. There's many names for it now. Okay? And the Koreans learned how to do that from Mao, who did it on his entire population in China during the Great Leap Forward. 51 million people starved to death. Yeah, not a great time. Okay. Our wonderful, wonderful US government, when they discovered brainwashing, they said, could we use it as a weapon? And guess who they decided to test it on first? Not MK Ultra. No. Soldiers. They hired 4 psychologists, men, of course, who studied cults and abusive relationships, because those guys always been knowing how to do it, and they taught the government how to break people down. That is when modern day basic training was built. I find it very, very, very significant that the military to this day does not send their psychiatrists and psychologists through basic training. And then, of course, there was actually a CIA program started to test brainwashing and what they could do with it. And all kinds of horrible things happened, up to and including sexual abuse and outright torture of people to see if you could control. Now for the last part of this question, is there an age where brainwashing nowhere works? There's not an age, but there's a time. One of the reasons why brainwashing doesn't work the way you see on movies or hear about MK Ultra, or the stereotype that it just happens and you're a robot, is because we buy into our own brainwashing. That's why nobody, no matter how much they have studied, can give you the formula to wake up your people from MAGA. That's why my grandfather still runs the money in the Children of God, about the horrors of which I wrote a best-selling book about, Uncultured, growing up in the Children of God cult and then going into the cult of the U.S. Army. You can get signed copies attached here, or listen to me read it to you anywhere you get your audiobooks. My grandfather still runs the money, right? There's no way to guarantee to wake people up. That is because we buy into our own indoctrination. And that is also part of what the government had observed with the soldiers. They just didn't realize that yet. I don't know if anyone realized that for a very long time. So this is also why I believe it's impossible to brainwash young, very young children. You have to have a level of rationality to buy into the illogical stuff that is going on. It is very similar to domestic violence in that way. Until you are ready to leave, you're going to be kind of brainwashed into that and controlled. The thing I want to leave you with is that it is not this scientific, you do X, this person turns out like this, like magic power, okay? Everything about brainwashing is understandable. We understand how it works, and none of it is humane. And yeah, the government never really should have been involved in that. Going to finish off this video by reminding you that serious people and scholars and experts will be very careful about the way in which they talk about MK Ultra. When you see people flippantly just discussing MK Ultra, no. Nobody that actually knows a lot about that program is talking to you on the internet about it. And it is a huge, huge piece of conspiracy theories, right? And it is very helpful for conspiracy theorists that the US government has done shitty things like MK Ultra, right? Or like Bay of Pigs is the common example that is used by conspiracy theorists. Like, yes, conspiracies do happen. They're usually very small. There's not a huge number of people out there in the US that were tested on by the CIA that are just hanging out waiting to tell you about it. Oh, and by the way, the formula for breaking people is quite simple. Isolation, fear, any fear will do, pain, including causing it to yourself, like basic training, and small acts of kindness. Repeat for long enough, and it doesn't have to be that long, about 6 to 8 weeks or so, you get somebody pretty broken. People also usually do not realize that they are buying in to their own brainwashing as it is happening. That's one of the things that makes brainwashing so successful and that makes doing it by force nearly impossible.